one of the things that will hold us back are also the relationships that we had when we got to that level. Sometimes those people are playing great at that level, but if we want to get to the next one, we have to surround ourselves with different folks. And that's really hard, right? Because sometimes the people that may have been supporting you or got you there are going to say the things to prevent you from getting to the next one. Not maliciously, but just because they don't see it. They don't see the same vision. They don't have the same drive.
What Sharon Radacchio told me is that when we're stressed, we go back to what's comfortable.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm the manager and the ship's sailing and it's all smooth sailing. But when the shit hits the fan, I go back down to the producer. And she said, that's where you have to really focus on not going back to what feels natural. And that takes a lot of effort. It's like, I do the opposite. Like my first instinct is to do X.
Right.
And then I'm like, all right, Gary, your first instinct is do the opposite. Like,
right.
My first instinct's to flip somebody off when they cut me
Right.
off.
Yeah.
But then my second instinct's like, just maybe they're in a hurry.
See, Gary, you and I are about the same age. Jason's a little bit younger, but it took me 50 years. Like everybody said that forever, right? You got to stop and think before you act, all that. But actually doing it and actually being aware of it and actually catching it is a whole nother thing, right?
Yeah.
Like just to be able to get to that level of awareness where you can see it as it's starting to happen is game changing. And it's certainly not something I'm very good at yet, but something that needs to be worked on, right?
I totally agree. I think age has something to do with it, but I think that's a learned skill. So like,
yes,
I wish somebody would have told young Gary that, I think I could have learned it, but if I'm an insurance manager that used to be a badass producer, I wish somebody would have told me, wait a minute, when you get stressed, don't go back down to what feels normal.
Right.
And don't compare yourself to the producer because no producer likes to hear, well, when I was back in my day, I used to do, nobody likes to hear that shit.
Yeah.
It's funny that like to go back a little bit when you talked about like, shedding the old identity, it's really, there's a lot, we do fall back into our ways. There has to be a lot of intention behind what we're doing. And it's like constant intention. Otherwise, whatever we're not paying attention to, we will backtrack. Like you have to put a ton of intention behind all of your actions and like where you want to go, your mission, your new mission. If it's leveling up in a company or shedding the drinking or drugs or anything, it's like now I have to be highly intentional about everything I do to change that identity and become that new person because it's not on autopilot yet. And you look at other people and you're like, dude, they have it so easy, but it's like they've done it a lot, like any action that's repeated over and over and over again eventually does become easy, but we're not there yet because it's our new venture or, new person that we're becoming.
Once again, I think you're spot on. I heard this quote that most people in business or in the workplace do more planning for their vacation than they do their career.
I don't doubt that at all.
Right? It's funny, but it's true. And I've gone around our office. We have 560 people that work in our company. And I've asked a lot of people that, and they're like, probably. And I don't know that I wanted to be successful, but I don't know if I thought about that as an option of not being. I just was a very driven person. But I didn't think about whether that was right for me. I didn't know whether that was like that compass, that drive, if that insatiable desire to be successful. I didn't know if that was right for me. And so 6 years ago, I read Jack Canfield has a book called The Key to Living the Law of Attraction. And I read that book and it's pretty cool. And it gives you almost like how to create a bucket list. And then when I was doing it, I was like, I don't really want a bucket list, but I'm better at running my businesses than I am my life. So I created what you're talking about. I created a mission, vision, and values for Gary.
I love
and
that.
And then a 1 year, 3 year, and 7 year plan for my life. And I tell you, the most important thing that's come out of it that I wasn't expecting, it allows me to say no.